Hello everyone, I welcome you in the virtual class of business environment. We are discussing unit number 3, Indian tax system, and today we are moving towards the topic tax revenue of central government. Here it is written tax revenue. First of all, I would like to give the meaning of what kind of revenue a central government is earning. When government earns revenue, that revenue will be termed as public revenue. So first of all, let us move towards the definition of public revenue. Here two definitions are given. First definition is of public receipt and second definition is of public revenue. The public receipt is a broader definition and public revenue is having a narrower approach. So let us go first of all for public revenue. Public revenue includes only regular income of government like tax revenue plus non-tax revenue. Whenever government earns from the tax and specifically from the non-tax revenue sources, then those are the regular income of government. The time is pre-decided, means when government will earn is can be known in advance. So that is known as a public revenue. It is a narrower approach of public revenue, government's earning. Now let us discuss the broader approach of government's earning, that is known as public receipt. Public receipt includes all income and receipt which a public authority gets during a specific time period. It includes public revenue, means tax revenue plus non-tax revenue as written here, plus public borrowing. Government satisfy the needs of their income by charging taxes on the public, but sometimes the tax revenue is not enough for the need of government. In that case, government also borrows from the local public by issuing bonds and the like. So that bonds and any kind of loan taken from a public will be considered as a public borrowing. Thirdly, it is written here sale of public asset. Government is also having the ownership of some kind of assets. Take an example that land area is having the ownership of government. Any land area which is not occupied by the private people, which is free within a country, then that land area is having a ownership of government only. So when government make the sale of that land, then earning from that land will be considered as a sale of public asset. Take another example that when government sells any government building, any offices, like say for example that now post office is not working well and government sells any post office, then earning from that building will be considered as sale of public asset. So what do you mean by public receipt? All in all, we can say that any inflow that government is having during a particular time period, that is known as public receipt. Time period is not known and the sources are also not restricted. From any source, if government owns, then it is a public receipt. But if government owns from a specific source like tax source and the non-tax source, then it is known as a public revenue. And according to our syllabus, we need to discuss in detail the tax revenue and non-tax revenue. So let us start with the tax revenue first. Tax revenues, here certain types of taxes are given as an example. Let us see in detail. The first one is union excise duties. The excise duties, you are uh, having the knowledge about excise duty in the account. You are recording the excise duty in the trading account in final accounts. They are presently by far the leading source of revenue for the central government and are levied on commodities produced within a country. What is the specific feature of union excise duty? Union excise duty is a tax that is levied, means charged. It is charged on commodities produced within the country. So we can say that tax on the production is known as a excise duty. Why union? Because that production tax is taken by government, central government. Excise duty can also be collected by state government, but then it will be state excise duty. But here we are talking about central government's revenue. That is why we are focusing on union excise duty. Central government and are levied on commodities produced within the country, but excluding those commodities on which state excise is levied. Almost in every goods the excise duty is levied, but the excise duty is collected by different authorities. On some of the commodities state government will collect, and on some of the commodities central government will collect. And state government generally collects excise duties from the liquors and narcotics, drugs, etc. The most important commodities from the revenue point of view are sugar. The biggest contributors of excise duties are sugar, cotton, mill cloth, tobacco, motor spirit, matches, and the cement. These are the few commodities which gives the highest tax revenue to the central government. Well, excise duty is not now in application because it is replaced by the GST. So the on the same commodities now, on instead of collecting excise duty, government is collecting GST. The second one is customs. Custom duties include both import and export duties. Any tax charged on import and export is known as customs duty. It is not custom, but it is customs duty. These are the second most important source of revenue for the central government. The maximum revenue earns from the excise duty, and the second rank is given to the customs duty. Then next is income tax. Income tax is at present another important source of revenue for central government. It is levied on income of individuals, undivided families, and unregistered firms like sole proprietorship and unregistered partnerships. Income tax is a very common, and it is known to everyone that income tax is charged on the income of individuals plus on some of the business firms which are not registered. Take example of sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is considered as individual, not a business. So the sole proprietorship's income tax will be considered as income tax, not a corporation tax. Then next one is corporation tax. Income tax on the net profit of joint stock company is called corporation tax. See, this both are same, income tax and corporation tax. Income tax, here we are including only individuals, means a person, real person, not artificial person. And here in corporation tax we are charging income tax on the income of corporate firms, means on artificial person. Income tax is charged on natural person and corporation tax is charged on artificial person. Then next one is wealth tax. It is an annual tax on the net wealth of individuals and undivided families. It is a progressive tax. Wealth tax is something that any individual or any family is having luxury product. Take an example that in India today we are having democracy, but in past we are having a king coronation procession, Rajasahi Jarati, and some of the royal families are still having the royal antiques like the gold coins, silver coins, and artificial antique commodities are having in that palace. So on that, these are the commodities which if we sell, then it earns a crores of rupees. So it is considered as a wealth of that royal family or a individual. So what government is doing, government is charging income tax on a regular income, plus government is charging wealth tax on a wealth or the properties of these individuals and royal families. Then gift tax. It is a tax on gift of the property by an individual in his lifetime to future successors. When father gives property to son, so for example, if you are having the shares of any company and if you want to give gift to anyone, it may be your friend or it may be your family, then the receiver of the gift will is in need to pay the gift tax to the government. Then capital gain tax. This capital gain tax you are learning in your income tax. It is applicable to capital gains resulting from the sale, exchange, or transfer of capital assets. What is capital asset? Any asset which is immovable or having a long life. So, for example, you are having a building and you are selling, so excess amount you are earning, that is known as your profit. If you are earning profit by the selling of building, then that profit will not be considered as profit, but it will be considered as capital gain. You are learning in detail in your income tax that there are two types of capital gain: short-term capital gain and long-term capital gain, and on both of the capital gain the tax rates are different. Then next one is tax on foreign travel. Another next new tax levied on foreign travel for conserving foreign exchange as well as to raise revenue. Why government is charging tax on foreign travel? Because when foreigners are visiting to our country, they are having foreign currencies, so they will make payment of tax in foreign currency. By that way, our government's foreign reserve will increase, and simultaneously the revenue of government will also increase. So this is all about the tax revenue of central government. Now let us move towards the non-tax revenue of central government. In non-tax revenue, three categories are there. First one is profit from state enterprises. State enterprises doesn't mean that it is owned by the state government, but any business or any company which is owned by government, and if they are making sale of any product, then from the profit of that product is known as profit from state enterprise. Then second one is gift and grants. When one government gives gift to other government, and generally not in our country because we are not having too good neighbors, but if we talk about European countries, some of the countries are having very good neighborhood. They are having very good neighborhood and they are having very good relation with each other, that one government gives land area of their country as a gift to the neighbors, so that is considered as a gift. Second one is grant. Grant simply means that is given in a monetary terms. Gifts are generally articles and the grants are generally given in a monetary terms. These are of two type, foreign and domestic. Then next one is administrative revenue. Administrative revenue is further classified in a three categories, that is fees, fines and penalties, and special assessment. What is fees? Fees are generally the charge taken by government for giving permission of using anything. Second one is fines and penalties. When anyone violates the law, at that time, as a punishment, certain charges are given to pay. That is known as a fines and penalties. And the last one is special assessment. Special assessment simply means when government gives a certain kind of special facilities to a particular class of people, then they are charging some income, they are charging some they are having charge on that particular facilities, that is known as special assessment. Now let us discuss in detail this each category. First of all, we will discuss administrative revenues. In administrative revenue, first we will discuss fees. Fees are charged by the government or public authorities for rendering a service to the beneficiaries. To quote Seligman, a fee is a payment to defray. Defray means to cover the cost of each recurring service undertaken by the government primarily in the public interest, but conferring a measurable advantage to the payer. Fee are a certain kind of charge that government is taking for providing specific services. What kind of services are there? court fees are there, passport fees are there, etc. fall under these categories. Why court fees? In court fees, government is giving you the facility of justice, and in passport fees, government is giving you the freedom of foreign travel, and they are giving you the facilities of transportation. So these are the fees that is charged just for the sake of providing facilities. Similarly, license fees are charged to confer permissions for something by controlling authorities. Here we will discuss that fees are generally of two types. One is a fee for which you are providing special facilities. These are the court and passport fees. Now second is a category is of license fees. License fees are those fees which you are charging for giving permission of usage of anything. For example, driving license fee. When you are giving driving license means you are allowing people to drive on the roads. You are allowing people to use the highways. Then import license fees. By import license fees, you are giving permission to import certain products. Then liquor permit fee. By liquor permit, you are giving permission to sell liquor within a country. So these are the license fee by which you are giving permission to use something. Fees are to be paid by those who receive some special advantages. Generally, the amount of fees depend upon the cost of services rendered. So for example, the import license fees will be of high amount, liquor permit fee will be of high amount, because by this you are going to earn a huge profit. But if you take example of driving license fee, then it will be of very nominal in price, because by that you are getting a nominal advantage. Then fees are a byproduct of administrative activities of the government and not a payment for a business. Thus, fees are distinct from prices. Prices are always voluntary payments, but fees are compulsory contributions. Fees are byproduct. Fees are not a matter to earn revenue for government. Why government is charging fees? Just to cover the cost of facilities provided. This is not the area from which government earns profit. No, not at all. Fees are generally charged to cover the cost. So fees are compulsory payment. You cannot deny the payment. While what is price? Price is something you can deny. If you don't purchase a product, then there is no question of payment of price. But in case of fee, you cannot deny. So it is a compulsory contribution. Though both are made for special services, sometimes a fee contains an element of tax when it is charged high in order to bring revenue to the exchequer. Example, license fee. Sometimes fees are not a nominal amount, sometimes fees are not charged to cover the cost of facility, but sometimes higher fees are charged for the sake of increasing government's revenue. Take an example of import license fee. This is the license in which the high amount of fees are needed to pay. Generally the facility provided is less, but why high amount is charged? Because by that government's revenue will increase. So this is all about fees. Here we have discussed that two types of fees are there. One type of fees in which we are charging just for providing facilities and to cover the cost. Second type of fees are the fees by which we are giving permission to use anything, like import license fee, liquor permit fee, etc. Now let us move towards the second category of administrative revenue, that is fines and penalties. Fines and penalties are a very common word that we are using in our day-to-day life. Fines are generally punishment for violating any rules. If we talk here in context of central government, then fines and penalties are the punishment that is charged on a person when a person is violating any law. Fines and penalties are levied and collected from offenders of laws as punishment. Here, the main object of these levies is not so much to earn an income as to prevent the commission of offences and infringement of laws of the country. fines and penalties are arbitrarily determined. Generally, who decides the fines and penalties? First authority is the police. Second category is a court. The judge decides the fines and penalties, and secondly, fines and penalties are decided by the policemen. Generally, if we are violating the traffic rules, then also we are paying the fines, and sometimes for not following any law, the court is giving fine to any person. Now, what is a fine? Fine is not a decided particularly like a price, that cost plus profit is equal to price. There is no rigid formula for deciding the rate of fines and penalty. It is an arbitrarily amount which is decided by the authority, like as and when, as if on his own will. There is no particular rule for it. The judge decides the fines and penalties as if he feels well. Fines and penalties are arbitrarily determined and have no relation to the cost of administration or activities of government. Hence, collection from such levies are insignificant as a source of public revenue. If we talk about the revenues perspective, then this will contribute less to the central government's revenue, and specifically this is not the source where government should earn from this area. Why? Because these are the area which will show that people are not following the laws. So this is not a good earning of government. uh, any government will think that the fines and penalties should be as less as possible for having a very good corporate, for having a very good governance in a economy. So this is insignificant from the government's revenue perspective. If government wants to increase the revenue, then they should not focus on fines and penalties. They should focus on taxes. The third aspect of administrative revenue is special assessments. A special assessment is a compulsory contribution levied in proportion to the social benefits derived to defray the cost of specific improvement to property undertaken in public interest. Here it is written specific improvement in property. Take an example that nowadays it is a trend to have a site, building site, which is far from a cities. 2 or 5 kilometers from far from the city, and this is a site by which where the prices of the flats are low, so it is beneficial to the purchaser that they can get a real estate in a lesser price. But this flats price will increase if the very good road connectivity will be developed there, if the light electricity connection will be there provided by the local authorities, then drainage facility if developed, then the prices of these flats will increase to a peak point. So what is why the prices of these flats is increased? Because government has provided certain facilities to this area, that is road facility, electricity facility, and a drainage facility. So anything by which the prices of private property will increase, then for that increase government will take charge, and that charge is known as special assessment. Getting it? When your property's price will increase just because of some government's facility, then the charge you are paying, that will known as a special assessment. That is to say, sometimes when government undertakes certain types of public improvements such as construction of roads, provision of drainage, street lighting, etc. This three I have given you example. It may confer a special benefit to those possessing properties nearby. By construction of roads, the only those flats price will increase which are far from the cities. So it is beneficiary to only certain class of the people, and that is why government will collect from that class only. As a result, values of rents of these properties may rise. The government, therefore, may impose some special levy to recover a part of the expenses so incurred. Such special assessment is levied generally in proportion to the increase in the value of properties involved. In this respect, it differs from tax. What will be the amount of special assessment? It is not a rigid formula for this. If the property's price will increase too much, then the charge will be high. If the property's price will increase to a negligible amount, then special assessment will be less. In India, these special assessments are referred to as betterment levy. The another name of special assessment is betterment levy. Betterment levy is imposed on land when its value is enhanced by the construction of social overhead capital such as roads, drainage, street lighting, etc. by the public authority in an area. What is betterment levy? Because of betterment levy, your property is in a better position, so the tax charge for this better position is known as a betterment levy. Now by this we are completing the administrative revenue of central government. Now let us move towards the second category. This is not the fourth under administrative revenue, but it is a profit from state enterprise, the second category under non-tax revenue. Profit of state undertakings also are an important source of revenue these days. Owing to the expansion of public sector, for instance, the central government runs railways. Surplus from railways earning can be normally contributed to the revenue budget of the central budget. Likewise, profit from the State Transport Corporation, other commercial undertakings in the public sector such as Hindustan Machine Tools, Bokaro Steel Plant, State Trading Corporation, etc. can make profit to support the central budget. What is profit from state enterprise? Any of the government's corporate firms which is earning profit, then it is known as a profit from state enterprise. Here some examples are given. Railway, one example, then state transport corporation, that we term it as ST, then other commercial undertakings like Hindustan Machine Tools, HMT, Bokaro Steel Plant, State Trading Corporation, etc. These are the few firms which are selling product to the which are selling product and services to the public, and by that way they are earning profit. Earning from state enterprises depends upon the prices charged by them for their goods and services and the surplus derived therefrom. This profit from state enterprise will be high if government takes the uh, scheming pricing policy, and it will be low if government follows the penetration pricing policy. Generally, on government's form, penetration pricing policies are followed, means the low prices are charged. Thus, the pricing policy of state undertakings should be self-supporting and reasonably profit-oriented. No doubt, generally the state enterprises are made for the public welfare, and that's why they should charge low prices, but it doesn't mean they are allowed to make losses. At least they should cover their cost and should earn reasonable profit to survive in a market. Again, prices are charged with an element of quid pro quo, that is to say, directly in proportion to the benefits conferred by the services rendered. Means better service, higher fees, lower service, lower fees. Take an example of railways. We are having two classes, first class and second class. In first class, the ticket rates are high, and in second class, ticket rates are low because of the facilities differing from first class and second class. However, in certain cases, when the state has an absolute monopoly, prices having a high profit element are charged. Such monopoly profit of state enterprise are in nature of tax. When government is charging scheming pricing, then generally the motive of government is to increase their revenue. The difference between price and fee is this: the former usually can never be less than the cost of production. Price should never be the less than cost of production. or production of product or service, while the fees may not necessarily cover the cost of service. It may cover the cost, it may not cover. Then the third category of non-tax revenue is gifts and grants. This form generally a very small part of public revenue. Quite often, patriotic people or institutions may make gift to the state. Patriotic people like the soldiers are there who are very much dedicated towards their country. They like their country. They are feeling the pride to be a citizen. So they will give their income and their property as a gift to the government. Sometimes what happens that some people don't have any successor, they don't have any son, so whatever the properties they are having, they have on in their lifetime, they will donate it to the government. So that will be a local gift to the government. So some patriotic people are there, like some institutions are also there who are we can say NGOs are there, they are helping government in a needy time. These are purely voluntary contributions. No government can compulsory impose on anyone to give donation to the government. Take an example of this PM Care Fund. Just because of this corona, that PM has requested to the citizens to give donation for the to cover in this pandemic situation of corona, to help the doctors and to maintain this economy. So it is totally a request. No one can impose, no one can force anyone to make a donation. Gifts have some significance, especially during wartime or an emergency. In modern times, however, grants from one government to another government have greater importance. Local government receives grant from state and state government receives from the central government. The central government gives granting aid to the state governments in order to enable them to carry out their functions. Generally, if the state government's revenue is not sufficient to maintain the governance of the state, then the extra money is given by a central government to the state government, and that is known as a grant in aid. When grants are made by one country's government to another country's government, it is called foreign aid. These are the local aid and this is a foreign aid when one country's government gives to the another country. Usually poor countries receive such an aid from the developed countries, definitely, because poor country will not give grant to the developed country, which may be in form of military aid, economic aid, food aid, technological aid, and so on. Different kinds of aids are here. What is military aid here? You know that in India we are having a wartime situation between India and China, and that is why we are getting military aid from Japan, Australia, and America. Second one is economic aid. You know that in 2001 in Kutch we had a earthquake. At that time America had given an economic aid. In monetary terms they have helped our country. Then food aid. Just before 2 or 3 years, Nepal faced a very disastrous earthquake, and at that time it is our government who has given food aid to the Nepal. And the last one is technological aid. In India, we are having the metro train project, and in that we are having aid, technological aid from the Japan government. So these are the few examples of gifts and grants, foreign aid and national aid, local gift and foreign gift. Then tax revenue of central government. The basic tax revenue for state government are share of the state in union excise duties. These union excise duties we have discussed first of all in the tax revenue. First source, the maximum revenue, maximum contribution to the central government by union excise duties. At that time also we have discussed that on some liquor and narcotic products, state government charges excise duties. Commercial taxes are there, land revenue, stamp duties, registration fees, share in union income tax, and state excise duties on alcohol. These are the few sources by which a state government earns revenue. By this way, we have completed the topic the public revenue of central government and state government. And here our unit number 3 got over. From next lecture we will discuss unit number 4. Thank you.